Okay. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming. After all this time, I guess I'm going to be the speaker. And I was concerned that I should leave something out, so you'll have to bear with me. I'm going to tell you about soldier support packages, beginning with a story, followed by the history and process of the project, and then I will end with pictures. My plan is to leave time for questions, so here goes. In order to tell you the entire story and the small world part of what I do, I have to go back 26 years. I was the director of learning resources and technology at Helen Keller Middle School, having just heard about being a World War II commemorative community. Thinking this would require a lot of programming, I enlisted the other teachers on my team, and we put together a year-long series of programs to commemorate World War II. Being in the library, my part of the program was people, and I scheduled interviews with veterans I knew from Rhodesholm. My uncle Gene Feidelson, Jack Silvetsky, Lawrence Ostrowski, to name just a few. I then made a contact with the captain who ran the program, and consequently was invited to the 50th anniversary of VE Day at Fort Myer in Washington, D.C. As we rode together to the ceremony, we discussed the program, but she never told me who would be there except for President Clinton. She literally parked me in a spot saying, "Stay here, don't move, I won't forget you at the end of the program." Standing next to me was a young man who began talking to me, asking me who I was, etc. And I couldn't let that go. So in turn, I asked him the same questions. He told me he was the president's speechwriter. Thinking that was pretty terrific and a coincidence, I wasn't prepared for what came next. He then told me that there was a coincidence between him and one of the guests, who happened to be his father, Samuel Pisar. Samuel Pisar escaped from a concentration camp and was rescued by a US soldier, Bill Ellington, a tank driver who scooped up Samuel and brought him into the tank for safety. Samuel spoke little English, but when he saw the American flag, he uttered the only English words he knew: "God bless America." Bill was being remembered that day because he had recently passed away. President Clinton introduced him with just what I told you. You can understand why Samuel Pisar received a standing ovation. Needless to say, there wasn't a dry eye on the field. The coincidences didn't stop there. In 2015, when I was supporting the 82nd Combat Aviation Brigade, which I will get to a little later, there was a function at the synagogue, and Rabbi Victor showed me a photo of a young boy being liberated and a US Army tank. I knew immediately it had to be the same boy. Went home, did some research, and found it to be true. Remember the 82nd for now, and you will see where the next coincidence comes into play. And still going backwards, this time to 1970, when our closest friend went to Vietnam, I sent cookies. What did I know? I wrapped each one of them individually in aluminum foil. I've come a long way since then. When Matthew went to Korea in 1997, I was mailing cookies every Monday, receiving messages from the soldiers in his platoon. "Thanks, Mom. We never get cookies unless you send them." The cookies were gone in a heartbeat. One more piece of history involving my boys. Randy was deployed to Iraq in 2003 with the Rakkasans as part of the 101st. And I just assumed, mistakenly of course, that all moms sent packages to their kids. Not so much. Randy explained that the young soldiers' families couldn't afford the postage to send the boxes, let alone the contents. So everything I sent went with a message: share with whomever needs. and my sisters did the same. It was through Randy and that deployment when I made a very good friend who has become like another son to me. The packages had begun, but not officially at that point. And now to how soldier support packages began. In October of 2005, Mike and I were at Matthew's house, and the then Colonel Jeffrey Colt, his wife, and 2 young boys joined us for a barbecue the night before he was deploying to Iraq as commander of the 159th Combat Aviation Brigade. Being impressed with Jeff, I said, I will support you when you are gone, and left it like that. Not having any idea what that meant, not knowing how many soldiers I was talking about, I asked his wife once he was gone, Nancy was his wife, and she secured the information for me, 2,850. This was October. I committed for Christmas. Jeff told her, Carol doesn't know what she's gotten herself into. And I told Nancy, tell him he knows her son, but he doesn't know his mother. And I've been off and running ever since. I recruited Sue, and she, of course, said yes. Between the end of October and Thanksgiving, we shopped, packed, boxed, and mailed 166 cartons filled with one treat for each soldier in the brigade, and we were both working full-time. Little did we know or even think about doing more, but we couldn't stop. The emails filled with heartfelt thank yous were overwhelming, so we continued based on themes: red for Valentine's Day, green for St. Patrick's Day, and peeps for Easter. I told people I'm Jewish. What did I know about peeps and all of their colors? Nevertheless, we kept going, filling treat bags with soap, shampoo, lotion, razors for the soap theme, or toothbrushes, toothpaste, floss, chapstick for the dental theme. Each bag contained hand wipes, eyeglass wipes, tissues, notebooks or note cards and pens, or washcloths or hand warmers, always a snack and candy. The bags were filled to the brim, and as we stuffed them into boxes, we would enclose crossword puzzle books, adult coloring books and pencils, search a word, or games. I never felt this was a job. Rather, I always thought I was touching a soldier's life and hoped he or she would be there to receive it. I think you know what there means. This process has continued since 2005. Sue retired from the project after our mom died in 2010, came back for one more holiday when Matthew deployed. Even Dad helped. He would open packages of tissues, sorted lotion, soap, shampoo, and candy, but always warning me not to give the soldiers too much candy because they didn't need to get fat. You could hear him now for those of you who knew my dad. Dad took great pride in the project and told everyone he met what was going on in my house. After our first year, Mike, Sue, and I were honored at the 159th Combat Aviation Brigade Military Ball, regaled with gifts and a standing ovation. Need I tell you what a standing ovation in front of the soldiers we supported meant? Believe me when I tell you, we didn't deserve that. They did. Mike and I were also privileged to be at Fort Campbell for a welcome home ceremony in the hangar. And I was warned by Nancy Colt's mother that this would be an emotional experience. No matter how prepared I thought I was, I had no idea. We sat in the bleachers, the soldiers were in formation. Jeff had made a commitment to bring every soldier back alive, and he did. Not always a feat, that can be accomplished. He was an incredible man. You'll hear more about him later. We looked at the soldiers, and I realized then that I had touched each one of them with one of our bags from home. Between that emotional moment and then seeing the soldiers uniting with their family, well, let's say this was an experience I'd never forgotten. People ask, where do we get the things we send? In the early years, we spoke to some groups together, and later I continued myself. One night, Sue and I were getting ready to speak at the Kiwanis Club of Easton. Literally, as we were getting out of the car, my daughter-in-law, Ann, Matt's wife, called to tell me that our very good friend, Matt Worrell, had been killed in Iraq, shot down in a helicopter with another pilot. Note the similarity. Matt Worrell, Matt Weinshell. These two served together in several units, trained together, and became friends as families, both having little boys. Matt Worrell from Texas and Matt Weinshell from Connecticut. Matt Worrell called us his northern parents. Could we speak, or should we just go home? We decided we had to speak, and that is what we did. We told our story of supporting soldiers, explaining that Matt Worrell had just been killed, and people were coming up to us, handing us money left and right, saying, use this for postage and now go home. We understand. Over the years, and as I said previously, I've been doing this myself for 10 years. I have met the most incredible people. Schools have supported me along with pediatric healthcare, Milford Pediatrics, Woods End Deli, Fred 06825, the Fairfield Board of Realtors, Bigelow Tea, just to name a few, and family and great friends. At the beginning, I made a contact at Energizer. Imagine what 30,000 pink disposable razors look like. I am still using them. The blue razors are long gone, as are the wet ones. Luckily for me, Mike had a client who had no problem with my having things delivered to him, and he would hold them until I was ready. One year, we had a shipment of Indiana popcorn that only a forklift could move. Over 2,000 individual bags of popcorn. A friend of Matt's from Fairfield High had been the CEO, and his comment to me was, Mrs. W, you fed me all those years we played football. There's nothing I wouldn't do for you. And so came the popcorn. When Mike and I traveled with the National Association of State Boards of Accountancy, I always had my Shutterfly book in hand. The communications director never failed to make contact with the hotels. And over the years, we have either taken home, had shipped, or received by mail cartons of shampoo, lotion, and soap. I had items from the Westin, the Marriott, and the Hyatt, as well as the Brown Hotel in Louisville. Curiously, the batch from Louisville came damaged and open with shampoo all over the inside of the boxes. And what did they do? They sent another full shipment. They were mortified that they had sent me something that was damaged. These have been the people with whom I have come in contact and who have supported me. At one point, when Sue and I had followed Randy running the marathon in Cincinnati, we were about to get on the plane in Cincinnati to come home, and we were always wearing our military pins. This time we had the 159th. It's a little unnerving when the gate agent says, wait here, don't get on the plane. You don't really know what that means. She came back and handed each one of us a $20 bill because she asked us why we were wearing the pins. and said, "This is in memory of my father. He was with the Bucket Brigade in World War II." And she said, "You probably don't know what the Bucket Brigade is because not many people do. He was the person who picked up the soldiers who had been killed. Now that I've told you, you can get on the plane." So in the beginning, people were dropping off large trash bags and putting them on my porch. A serviceman waiting for me to get home said he never saw burglars bringing bags into people's houses. I had to explain what I was doing and that these people were okay. You might be wondering how I got new units to support. I never supported someone who wasn't recommended by either Jeff Colt or Matthew. With Matthew being an aviator, I was partial to the aviation branch and primarily stayed with it all these years. The rotations for deployments are such that the same units seem to go time and again, and I have supported many of them and multiple times. I have watched, figuratively, officers rise through the ranks from captain to major to lieutenant colonel to colonel. Quite often they have said they remember the treat bags from the years gone by because they remember the message that always accompanies every bag for the holidays, thanking them for their service, wishing them Godspeed, and telling them that our family and friends from Fairfield, Connecticut, wish them well. And it was always signed Carol and Michael Weinshell until last year when it changed to Carol Weinshell. One soldier who has become a friend told me that the package could not have arrived at a better time. He had just received a very disturbing letter from home, and my package, my simple quart-sized bag with that message, brought a little bit of peace for him. Another said that the climate was particularly hard on his skin and coincidentally received a package from me that very day, and in it was lotion. I maintained contact and a friendship with each of these men, and they continue to reflect on these memories. Over the years, soldiers from the 159th, the 101st, the 82nd, the 1st Combat Aviation Brigade, the 1st Infantry Division, note that Mike Passo, the 3rd Infantry Division, the 10th Mountain Division, the 16th Cav, the 4th Infantry Division, a few Special Operations units, a medevac and hospital unit, and the SOAG received my packages. The last group was one that Matthew commanded, and even after he left, I continued. After a number of years, I was given the title Godmother of the SOAG. It was years into the project before I supported a unit to which Matthew was attached. And just to add a little bit of humor to this, we had gone to a promotion ceremony for Matthew when I met some of the soldiers I actually had supported. And the message that they came to me was, "So you're Mrs. Weinshell, you're the colonel's mother. We couldn't imagine who would be sending us a package. Our wives never sent us anything." And we walked into the mailroom and they are stacked up with box after box after box. And in these cases, these were for individual soldiers. So to go back for a moment to the story about the 82nd and the coincidence, I was so taken that Samuel Pizar was standing on the speaker's platform while I was in the audience. And I remembered a helicopter flyover. I seemed to be tuned into the sound of helicopters. What were the chances of my knowing one of the pilots? After the event at Rodeo Sholem, I went home, did some research, and found a YouTube video of the program. And at the end of the program, there was an announcement saying that the lead helicopter was being flown by Captain Mike Musial, of the 229th Helicopter Battalion. Could that possibly be the same Mike Musial I was supporting right then? I immediately wrote to the commander of the 82nd, Mike Musial, simply because I had to know. And I told him the story of Samuel Pisar, rescued from a concentration camp by the United States Army, and my meeting his son. I told him I saw and heard the helicopters, and while the announcement of the pilots was made that day, the names didn't mean anything to me. My research, however, provided the name, and I could hardly believe what I was hearing. Colonel Mike Musial responded immediately, telling me the helicopters belonged to his unit. And in fact, he was flying the lead helicopter. And so he said, who knew that you and I would have been in the same place together 20 years earlier and didn't even know each other? So the coincidence came full circle. I've received many flags flown in helicopters, citations and awards, as well as unit coins that are reserved for special occasions and for special people, and come with their own traditions. Mike and I were also honored at the 82nd Combat Aviation Brigade Military Ball. And soon Mike and I were recognized by the National Association of State Boards of Accountancy with the Being a Difference Award. One doesn't make a difference, we were told. One lives that way. That's what the award was. Very humbling. That presentation was held in the Easton Public Library to accommodate us so our family and friends could attend. And Jeff Colt flew from Nevada, where he was commanding a unit, just so he could be the keynote speaker and speak about us. His family and our family are intertwined. He and his wife, Nancy, could never do enough for me, especially when Mike was in the hospital and ultimately died. They adopted my family and we theirs. You see, when he moved duty stations in the early years, there seemed to be a wine shell in that location, from Washington, D.C. to Fort Campbell, Kentucky, to Fort Bragg, North Carolina. I couldn't ask for a better friend. His answer is, there is no way to ever thank you for what you did for my soldiers and what you continue to do for deployed soldiers today. Over the years, interesting things have arrived on my doorstep. Pens from the embassy in Iraq, roses, fruit, unit sweatshirts, and t-shirts, all with a message of thanks for the support and letting us know that people at home really do care. Those were the messages on the cards. The day I found the roses, I was completely in shock. It wasn't my birthday. I had no idea who would be sending them, and it wasn't something that Mike did. So when I came in and found these roses from one of my units, you can only imagine the tears were flowing. It's been 16 years now, and over 55,000 soldiers have received packages from my house. It's the little things that we take for granted that make such a difference. I'm going to read several notes from this year so that you can hear about the impact in the soldiers' own words. Carol, all packages were received. We are extremely grateful for you taking the time to put these together. We gave out all the care bags during our company safety day. Attached, you'll see a picture of our team, and you'll see it later. It put a big smile on everyone's face, although most have their masks on. Thank you again, and happy holidays to you and your family. Good morning, ma'am. On behalf of Echo Company, I would like to personally thank you for all you have done for us. The individualized bags for each soldier was so thoughtful. We are grateful that you took so much of your personal time to make sure every soldier had a kind reminder of home. Our company just recently got back from a 2-week field exercise, and the soldiers were really excited to come back to individual care packages. I promise they are smiling underneath their masks. Again, thank you so much. I hope you and your family have a happy holiday season. Very respectfully. Mrs. Weinshell, my soldiers were delighted and amazed to receive your care packages this week. Your thoughtfulness and generosity, as well as that of your friends, blessed my team greatly. It meant the world to them to know that Americans not only remember their ongoing service in a non-combat zone, but also care enough to spend such a considerable amount of time, effort, and resources to remind us of your support. Thank you. On behalf of the soldiers of the Iron Eagles, the company First Sergeant and I offer our sincere thanks and wish you and your team a blessed holiday season. Very respectfully. Ma'am, thank you for your package. Myself and my HR team greatly appreciated it. I want you to pay close attention to something in this email because you're going to see a picture of it when I show you pictures. My grandma used to keep her sewing supplies in a cookie tin, much like the one Sergeant Craig is holding up. So I was actually surprised to find cookies in there. Thanks, ma'am. Mrs. Weinshell, we received the care packages, and again, thank you so much for supporting us. We are sending a thank you card with a picture of us so you can see who you are supporting. We all really appreciate your thoughtfulness and care. Thank you, and have a great day. Jimmy. So you can see that I am passionate about supporting deployed soldiers, and I recognize their sacrifice and that of their families. I have seen firsthand who they are and have seen the pain and suffering some sadly have experienced. Matt Worrell's family has stayed close with us, as has his mother. And that is a very heart-wrenching time every year on Mother's Day. I will show you the pictures and then I'll be happy to entertain any questions. So with any luck at all, I'm going to be able to show you the pictures and I'll tell you what they are as we go. Okay, give me a minute. We have to do it a different way. I promise it's here. Oh my. Okay, it's here. It's hiding. And I promise I will get to it. Okay, Nima, help me out here. Where did it go?
Carol, look for the file on your computer and make sure that it's visible.
It is. It's
Okay.
open, but I can't get it. See, it's here.
And then click on share screen and try again.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so we'll try again. It says it's paused, so how do I get it resume? Let's see, resume. Oh my, let's try a new share. Okay, you all have to be patient with me, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm gonna try it again because I know it's here. Okay, can you see now?
Yes, you're on.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so these were donations from different hotels. You can see the shampoo and the lotion. Razors from Energizer, wet ones. Candy, leftover Halloween candy from Fairfield Woods Middle School. This is what I asked my dad to sort: chocolate, lollipops against hard candy and things that he thought were not good for their teeth, like Laffy Taffy and gum. So this filled my playroom. You can see how much candy we had. This is how the Hyatt sent the shampoo to Mike's office in a truck. When this truck ever pulled into the parking lot, we had no idea what was coming. What you see in my playroom is only a small sample of what actually came on this truck. This was a seventh grader at the time. If you look at the picture, he's holding a bucket that was from candy or bubble gum or something. And he is a boy now who's in medical school. He decorated this bucket with a picture of him and me, and he took it to his Christmas party, his family Christmas party. And he said to his family, "I'm collecting money for my teacher's son who's in the Army." Now, at the time, I was not supporting Matthew, but he had met Matthew when Matthew came to speak. This young man collected $500 for the soldiers. Indiana popcorn, there you have it. 2,400 individual bags of popcorn arrived to Mohawk Tool and Die, and it was transported on a forklift for me. So when I tell you there was a lot of popcorn, this was a lot of popcorn. Now we're into the packing. So all of these things had to be sorted. Soap, toothbrushes, snacks, Q-tips, everything. And this was something that Dad was doing also because he loved to help. Now you see bags packed on the floor. Those are gallon-sized bags. A little partial to female needs, I made sure that females had larger bags and that they had items that were specifically meant for their needs. And their items were pinks and pastels instead of sometimes the gray and drab. Don't ask me why, it was just my mishigas. So now this is my house. This is my family room on the left. This is my playroom on the right. Every box had to have a form filled out. The forms, to be very honest with you, are annoying. Not only are they annoying, but once I got to the post office, they had to be re-input into the postal system. Now you see them, they've moved from the family room to the playroom where they were ready to be loaded into my car to go to the post office. That was a job Mike always did, and he was very happy to see them on their way. Well, without Mike, I asked my neighbors who have two little girls, middle school and kindergarten. And these little girls could not do enough. If only you could have seen them running back and forth, carrying the boxes, stacking the boxes. They took a great deal of pride in being able to help me. Now you see boxes packed, what the insides look like. So on the left was Valentine's Day, everything pink, red, anything we could put together that looked like Valentine's Day. Because there was so much candy, as you saw, I made bags just of candy and sent those out as well, not to my dad's pleasure, I must say. These boxes were filled with individual bags of Indiana popcorn, some candy, some bubble gum, and a picture of what the forklift looked like, so they knew why they were getting something that was different than the way I used to pack. And there were the coloring books and magazines also at the bottom. This was this year. I ran out of boxes, storage boxes, as to where to put my completed bags. So I took the bags upstairs to Matthew's room. I filled the entire queen size bed in multiple layers, and the bags sat there until I was ready to box them, because I boxed them based on how many soldiers were in each battalion or squadron. And I made sure that each box had 6 dental theme and 6 soap theme. So these were soap, and as I was ready to pack, I knew where to pull them from. Now the boxes have arrived. This was our first year. This was Jeff Colt's mail room. Now you see the soldiers. I think these pictures tell it all. Obviously, Christmas on the left, Valentine's Day on the right. Soldiers in helicopters, in trucks, in the mess tent with the bags. Though in those days, my bags were decorated differently. They were, you see, sports themes and baseballs and candy. What did I know? It didn't make any difference. A plain bag was as good as a decorated bag. And here we go, more. And they always wanted us to see how happy they were when the boxes arrived, which helped me, because I like to know that they had arrived. In all of these years, I don't think I've gotten 6 bags back to my house. And when I tell you I pray every day that no boxes are returned, believe me, that's the truth. Now we're up to current. You can see they're in masks, and they posed for the picture on the right. I believe that may have been the safety group you heard about. The females and the males. They just couldn't be more appreciative. So this picture on the left, I hope you see the can of cookies. That was the man who wrote that his grandma stored her sewing things in cookie tins. So he was particularly shocked when there were actually Danish cookies in that tin. You see the adult coloring book? They were all different themes. They were animals, they were sea, they were relaxing, they were flowers. This man on the right was from the SOAG, the Special Operations Group. And I always sent them, I admit I was partial to them. When somebody calls you the godmother of the SOAG, then I took extra care of them. And they got gallon-sized bags. There weren't that many of them. I could make that happen. This is another group receiving the bags this year. So this was the 159th CAB military ball. The awards that Mike, Sue, and I are holding is the Commander's Award for Public Service that Jeff Colt, who in the top left picture is standing next to Mike, it's obvious he's the one in uniform, he presented to each one of us. I have it hanging in my house. Nancy Colt in the right picture is Jeff's wife, and she sadly passed away in January. These certificates and unit coins happen to be from the 82nd. They were the ones I could just pull quicker for your unwavering support of the troopers of Task Force Pegasus. Your selfless service and support is invaluable and reflects great credit upon you and your devotion to our military men and women. We are grateful for the support of the American people and will continue to serve proudly until our mission here in southern Afghanistan is complete all the way. The next one, in support from the troopers of Task Force Sabre, your effort and generosity greatly increased the morale of the task force's troopers. Mike and Carol, we absolutely appreciate your genuine support and true selflessness. Task Force Sabre is the tip of the spear in the aerial flight against insurgents in Afghanistan's southern province of Kandahar. Task Force Sabre is comprised of 2 troops of Kiowa warriors and 1 company of Apaches, 2 Blackhawks, and 1 group of Pathfinders, an aviation unit maintenance group, forward support group, and headquarters. Lieutenant Colonel Mike Morgan, who I have also maintained contact with. The coins, again, happen to be from the 82nd. The coins were very special. I had no idea what they really meant, but they are the unit coins of the units, and we were given them over the years. They're not given out freely, I must say, and it wasn't until quite a while into this that I realized how special they are. This is the National Association of State Boards of Accountancy Being a Difference Award, and this was being given by David Costello, the president of the foundation, National Association of State Boards of Accountancy Foundation. This is this year, 4 hours. Some of you have asked me, how do I spend my time? 4 hours to process the boxes at the post office, and they're on their way. I never left the post office until I had packed them in this, whatever you call it, postal carrier, so that now a truck was going to come and pick them up and send them to wherever they were going, different destinations. Now, sadly, I took 40 boxes in a week ago Thursday and brought them home. The post office couldn't take them because the country, which I'm not at liberty to say, they tell me, is on lockdown due to COVID. And until the lockdown is lifted, the boxes are back in my playroom. Needless to say, I was disappointed, and so were they. This cart holds somewhere between 50 and 60 boxes. I handled each one of them, handed them to the clerk, took them from her, and stacked them in this case. So for those of you who wonder why I'm out of my house at 6 o'clock in the morning to be at the Stratford Post Office at 6:30, they opened the door for me, they let me come in early, and that is a very big help. So with that said, now, that brings you to the end of my presentation. I was hoping that I would be able to leave time for questions, and I think I've done just that. So I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you now know who the Carol Weinshell is outside of Rotosholm. And thank you for listening. And thank you for to those of you who have supported over the years. So if you have a question, I think what you have to do is unmute. And Nima, how would you like to do this? I'll leave it in your hands.
Anyone who wish to speak, just raise your hand, unmute, and I'll call on you. I see Sai. Sai, go ahead.
I watched the whole thing, and Carol, I had no idea of the magnitude of this effort that you're putting out. And as someone who served in a war zone during the Korean War, I can tell you how important it is to know that people back home appreciate what you're doing. I never got these packages that you're sending. I wish I had. You're doing magnificent work, and God bless you, and you're a credit to our country and to the Jewish people that you represent. Thank you so much for your work.
Thank you, Sai.
Okay. Carol?
Yes, Ernie?
Okay, first of all, Carol, thank you, thank you, thank you. I am in awe of what you have done in the past. Number one, I never realized what you had done, what you and Michael and Sue had taken upon yourself. You did it all by yourself. That's the important thing. And I'm speechless. I wish you long life, long health for you to continue on this magnitude of a job that you've taken on for yourself. It's just, I enlarged the pictures that you had put on, and I noticed, I tried to read some of the letters that you had printed up, and I noticed that you had given credit to the Indiana popcorn people. So you wrote your letter, and again, you're giving credit to the razor blade people and all to the others, so that they all had shipped. As Sai had said, that box meant something to me. I was shipped overseas to Germany, and I tried to keep kosher. And every now and then, my mother would send me a box of cookies, and she sent me a box filled with kosher salami. And I shared all of the cookies with my buddies. They looked forward to my box for my mother. So I know exactly how these soldiers felt. And again, speaking for myself and speaking for all the soldiers everywhere that have ever, what you have done, you have touched each person's heart. You touched each person's memory, and it will not be forgotten by them, nor will they it won't be forgotten, because they will encompass this and tell their children and their grandchildren when they talk about the stories of their war and their service to our country. This will be included, that they receive cookies. They were not forgotten.
Thank
Carol,
you, Ernie.
Carol,
Thank you.
thank you. Humbly,
Thank you.
I thank you.
Thank you very much. So over the years, I have had a few people come and help me pack. This year, just one friend, because I didn't feel it was safe to have more people in the house. I also had a gentleman who would come with his son, who's a Boy Scout and needed service time, and he would seal the boxes for me and also load the car if that worked that particular night. People were willing to help, and often asked me if I would let them take things home. I never let anything out of my house. I was always concerned from day one, when there was an anthrax scare, that anything that I was sending, I saw. And so those boxes are sealed so well, you couldn't put a paper clip in.
Carol, I just want to tell you, you're the perfect person to do this, because you have such a good heart and love of your children, and they must be so proud of you. I know your
Thank
boy.
you.
So thank you. And I'm so glad sometimes I gave the candy. Feel fine.
Thank you,
There's
Erica.
the Halloween candies, and whatever help, we love to help you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. You have good heart.
Carol, before I ask you a question, I think there was a question about the postage that maybe you want to share. I don't know if everyone saw the chat.
Okay, so this is an interesting situation. It used to be that there were larger boxes, and I could fit on an average of 18 to 20 packages in a box. And the boxes could run at that time, because this goes back a few years, somewhere around $15, $18, and the price kept going up. Now the post office came up with a flat rate military box. What they didn't tell you was the box was about 3/4 of the size of the original box. So I can only fit 12 packages into a box. And that 12 packages is now $18. So they may think, I hate to say it this way, they may think that we're not so smart, but I figured that out pretty quickly. And my boxes are heavy because it goes by the weight. The more they weigh, you're getting a better deal, if you will. You all know me. Those boxes are not light, but they still range just about $20 a box. And I mailed them 200 and something, in the low 200s, because those 40 are still sitting here. So, Sharon, you were going to ask
Yeah, I was
me?
going to ask a question. So first of all, I just want to say all these years that I've known you sort of through the synagogue, I have to tell you in the past couple of years how fabulous it has been to get to know you personally, not just from afar. And I've been obviously much more involved, even though I'm in New Jersey. So that's been fabulous. But hearing you speak, and I knew fringe kind of what you were doing, and you'd mention it here and there and all of that. This was wow, it truly quite a labor of love. And it really, it's not just writing a check. It's physical labor. It's reaching out to people. It's from soup to nuts. And I will tell you, I am happy to find a day after Medicare open enrollment ends to come with a mask and help you if you need help at the post office or whatever you need. It is definitely something I would like to be able to contribute. So
Thank you very
Thank you.
much. I appreciate.
Carol, this is
Is that Leon? Yes.
Lee and Judy Gould. Thank you for your service. I have a message for the entire group. According to research that I did over the internet, scientists have found out that vitamin D is a good source to combat the COVID virus. And vitamin D can obtain from the sun. So if you get a chance, try to get out during these cold days, get some sun on you, but everything, of course, in moderation.
Thank you for sharing. I will be walking at St. Mary's later today, bundled up, for those of you I bump into at St. Mary's.
Carol,
Sheila,
do you get the empty boxes from the post
oh
office?
yes, those they give me for free.
Ah, mazel tov.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Very good. Okay. What a gigantic undertaking. We thank all our essential workers and our military, but we thank you from the bottom of our hearts
Thank you,
for
Sheila.
your service.
Thank you.
You're someone special, for sure.
They need us. And
Oh, yes,
I
we can't forget them, right?
I can't
Right.
stop, although I need to think about it.
Yeah,
Carol,
God give you the strength.
Who is that? Wait.
it's Jackie.
Oh,
Jackie,
Jackie, sorry.
I would just like to say I am in awe. I'm almost speechless. This has been an incredible journey, and everybody needs to be so thankful to you, your sister, your dad, your helpers, everybody. two things. Number one, I have a feeling, I see there's a pin you're wearing. I
Oh,
have
yeah.
a feeling that has some significance. Maybe you want to tell us about that. And
Yeah.
number two, maybe if we would like to make a donation to you towards your project, could you give us where you would like it to go or what you would like us to do?
Sure. The pin I have worn since Matthew went into the service, and it says, "God bless those in service to our country." This necklace, red, white, and blue. You see, I'm always in red, white, and blue when I'm not in black. And my flag, which I can't see, my flag has wings because he's an aviator. So on top of the flag, when he was deployed, I always wore a yellow ribbon. And I had a yellow ribbon on top of the flag. I could be, really weighted down with all of my stuff. When we supported the 159th, I wore that pin all the time. When I supported the 101st, when Matthew was the commander of the 101st Combat Aviation Brigade, I wore the 101st pin as well. And at the very beginning, and Dottie Calabrese knows this because she knows who I'm talking about, there is a very good friend of both of ours who is very patriotic, and he saw me wearing the 159th pin, and he said to me, "I have to have that." I said, "Okay, I'll get you a pin." And I did, and that was in 2005, and to this day, he still wears it on his coat. And contributions come to me, made out to me, even though I have a name, because I felt one of my daughters-in-law said, "Mom, you're not advertising, you're not marketing." I created a blog. I had a husband who was a CPA and said to me, "You do not have to be a 501c3. After all, how long are you going to do this for?" And that was 16 years ago. So we laughed about it for as long as he was alive. And he said, "You don't need it. You're doing just fine without it." And and that was it. So anybody who gives me something, be it money or stuff, knows me. They trust me. They know I'm not, I'm not going to lunch on the money. I'm not eating all the food. So, that's really what it's about. It's me. Just me. So, any other questions before I let you all go?
Carol, thank you for all your work. Mike
That
Passo?
must be, is that Mike Passo?
Yeah, that's me. Thank you, but you remember that the company I work for sent out skids like every 3 or 4 months.
I remember that.
And I have the letters from they would send us letters back, but that was on my work computer, and I don't work there anymore. But I mean, they were really happy you basically gave it to Army units, right?
Yes.
Yes, because we gave it to everybody. So we get from the Marines, from the Air Force, from everybody. So, the CEO of our company was a West Point cadet or a graduate. So, that was his thing to do. I just want to mention for all you Army vets, the museum for the Army, I think, opened in Arlington. Are you aware of that, Carol? Oh, they built a brand new museum. I mean, I've been donating to it.
Oh, wow.
And it's, I don't know if it's open yet because of COVID, but they were supposed to open. But it's in Arlington, Virginia.
I'll put it on my list. Thank you. I need to go to Arlington because I have to pay my respect to Nancy Colt, but I didn't go to the memorial.
But I guess if you go online and just Google it, you'll find it.
Okay. Seth lives in Alexandria, or in Burke, so I'll get there.
I mean, like I said, when I get a first chance, I'm going to drive down there and go to the museum. So,
I'll be
thank you.
standing in line with you.
And I would imagine now with all the drawdown of troops, it'll be less inundating to send packages over there.
Probably.
So,
I just
thank
muted.
you.
Thank you, Mike.
Can I say a word?
Of course.
You take my breath away. So, like, I too am speechless. Your godmother too. That was a beautiful death term. It was all beautiful. And can I give you a blessing?
Of course.
You are a blessing, and that's what Abraham, the first commandment is to be a blessing given to Abraham, and you are that. Ve bracha, may God bless you and watch over you in your noble work. You're unbelievable. I had no idea. No idea. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Carol,
Okay.
for those who weren't on the service on Saturday, do you want to explain your background? The background, the picture,
The
Oh,
picture.
of
Booth,
course.
the booth.
that background.
That background. I had gone to Week of the Eagles at Fort Campbell when Mike Mad was commander of the 101st Combat Aviation Brigade. And that was a display of soldiers who had been killed, boots. And with the boots were flags and information about the soldiers. And I was not only Army, by the way, and I was very taken by it, as you can well imagine. So, okay, it's 11:03. I don't want to keep anybody over time unless anybody has any other questions or comments. And I thank you all for coming. I thank my usual virtual coffee groupies and some of my friends who jumped on based on my email. Thank you all so much.
Carol, I
Thank
just want to
you.
say,
Thank you.
yeah, Carol, I just want to say thank you very much. It's so enlightening. Even though I saw you at St. Mary's the other day with Edith, it was so wonderful to hear your story today and be so thankful that you have taken on this magnificent job. And we appreciate it very much.
Thank you, Dorothy.
Thank you. Thank you. And stay well, everybody. And Carol, stay well and do it for many, many more years.
Thank you, Erica.
Amen.
Support you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful.
Very nice.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. This was amazing. It
Thank
was-
you, Nima, for all you did and your patience.
Good to see you, Nima.
Same here. Have
Bye-bye.
a wonderful day, everybody. Okay,
Bye-bye. Have a good day.
God bless.